Welcome to Krizcast, Nomad Life. Welcome to Krizcast, Nomad Life.
Barcelona, a city of narrow streets, sunlit plazas, and untold stories. But what happens when its heartbeat is captured through the eyes of an Indian storyteller? So today, we dive into a world where seasons aren't just about weather, they're about emotions, journeys, and memories we carry. From a comical chaos in the heart of Catalonia to the quiet rebirth of hope in the spring of life, these are not just stories. They're windows into love, loss, humor, and resilience. Our guest today is the author of a beautiful book called Epics of Hope, a book that will make you laugh, cry, and rethink the moments that shape us. We'll talk about his life in Spain, the blending culture from South India to Barcelona, the art of storytelling, and why Barcelona became the perfect canvas for his words. So, whether you're here for stories, the city, or the soul behind the pen, you're in for something special. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome to our podcast, Krizcast Nomad Life, where stories come alive and emotions find their voice. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome one of our extraordinary author, whom I have met online, and I'm going to interview today the author of Epics of Hope. It is a beautifully woven stories of human experiences in the backdrop of Barcelona. So the book is four beautiful stories, which I'm not going to share right away. You will get to know if you're prepared to laugh, cry, reflect, or fall in love with stories. This book is for you. And please join me in welcoming the author, Epics of Hope, Srijit, on our show. Hi.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. That was quite a kind of welcome I got. Thank you for that.
Who you are, where do you come from? What made you write this book?
From a very small town in the south of India. It's probably the last biggest city in the Indian Peninsula, from the in the Indian Peninsula, which is Trivandrum, Thiruvananthapuram. It's the capital city of Kerala. I was born and brought up in Thiruvananthapuram. It's a small town boy. I lived there in Trivandrum for 17 years. So Trivandrum is probably it makes the audience much easier to perceive the name of the place because that's how the Britishers called us. And that's how many of us still call it. Even the airports and stuff are many other important places are still important things are still known as Trivandrum. So I would like to use Trivandrum. So I was born in Trivandrum many years back, many years back. I lived there for 17 years. Before I joined the Indian military service, I started working in Indian Navy. I worked in Indian Navy as a Marine for 5 years before I started my IT career. I started the IT career was a big flow. I mean, it flew across 15, 16 years. None of this has anything to do with what coined me as an author. What coined me as an author has to do with what I learned in the first 17 years in my city. And probably I would give some credit to my dad, to my DNA, to my father, because it was more. My dad was a writer. He was a writer and he was actor as well. He used to act in dramas, theaters. I mean, he was theater artist at one point of his time. Later, he left that part. But one point of his time, he was a theater actor. He also wrote many dramas, which actually became an inspiration for me. And the writer's journey, the author journey started at an age of 13 where I called something which I wrote first time by myself, which I'm still proud of.
Nice. Thank you, Sri. So your career is something very unique. You start as a marine engineer, then you become IT engineer, and then now you're completely into writing and you're an author now. That's a very
To be
inspiring.
very specific, Chris, I was not a marine engineer. I
Uh-huh.
was a marine. I was in Indian Navy.
Okay.
And yeah, I was in Indian Navy. I was into multiple areas of Indian Navy, um, including the basic activities what a seaman would do, everything. So I was not a marine. And I would say I never had a college education that equalizes me to become a marine engineer or or something which simulate myself into later as an engineer who works in IT, who worked in development. So that journey is actually quite complicated, and it had fine tuning at every phase of my life because, like I mentioned a little earlier, I never had a college education in my life. All I had the schooling which I had done until 12th in the city of Toronto.
Okay. Wow. So as I mentioned, it's a fantastic journey from where you started and where you are today. And I think you also mentioned your father is also an author. So that's I think your DNA already has the essence of writing stories. So that's why you're so good in writing books. And my first question is, when I saw your book reviews online and I flipped through the PDF, I understood that the first uh, the first preface that came up is that Srijit is the one and only author or a person living without a permanent residency and still able to write a story. How was that possible, firstly?
This is very interesting. This was a very interesting term. This is not the first time I'm writing something. I have written a lot of stuff. I've won some. I have earned some recognitions at some point of my life at every juncture for what I have written. What makes this book special is when I thought about writing a book back in 2023. That's when the first story of this book uh, evolved. When I wrote about this, I was never aware about this milestone which I am going to reach by achieving this. I came here on work visa. I'm working for a reputed insurance company in the area of technology, in their artificial intelligence, and I was working. I was writing because this is my passion. I read, I write. So after finishing the book, I approached the authorities here for the ISBN because since I am from Spain, I thought I should get the book registered through Spain, Spanish authorities. And that's when, while discussing with the authorities for the ISBN, there was, in fact, I would have never known the ISBN was delayed. So I had to visit their office and I had to discuss why it was delayed. And that's when I realized that I would become the first Indian after they actually established an ISBN system for the books who doesn't have a citizenship or a permanent residential PR status in Europe to publish an original manuscript in English in fiction from Spain. Probably the awareness made me trigger this into through my book, but that is not something which I was focusing on. The only idea was I was focusing on to make sure that the we all live with emotions and the thought process which drive us through in our entire life, right? What a writer wants to say. I don't consider myself as a complete writer yet, but as a writer, as a beginner, uh, I want to do the same thing. I want to spread the emotions, the way I think about humanity, what would do good for humanity in the future to reach the people. That was the only aim. The other one, what you see, the first, the pioneer, that's the milestone, which came accidentally.
Okay, wow, very interesting. So, okay. I see what you mean. So you're the first person who wrote in English for ISBN. So that become like a big selling point, I think. It should be a big selling point for you. And let me just dive into your lifestyle because you moved from South India like me. I come from Tamil Nadu. And yeah, so you moved from Kerala, which is like our neighbor province. And how do you see Barcelona? How is your lifestyle in Barcelona? I don't know how long you've been here. You haven't mentioned that yet. Maybe you can tell how long you're here and how were you able to uh, write a book, doing a job, a full-time job. And Barcelona is a character in itself. You know, it has everything that a city needs. It's a cultural bomb, I would say. So many things in Barcelona when you compare with the other cities. So a lot of questions, but I hope you'll be able to answer these.
Yeah, Chris, first of all, it came to me as a surprise that you're from Tamil Nadu, and I cherish I cherish that my language evolved from Tamil, which is one of the oldest, not one of the, it's the oldest language in the history of in the history of humanity. And I cherish the fact that the civilization which came from the south, the Dravidian civilization, fed root to a lot of other civilization which evolved later. Though there are competing factors or conflicting factors or disconnects in many parts of the society where we still need more archaeological proofs, or we still need more information on this area to establish it further. But I would still cherish that fact that we come from the same zone, yeah, of the world. So probably our thought process matches a lot. Barcelona. I reached Barcelona in 2022, October. It was not summer yet, but from a person who is coming from our part of the world, I was still feeling cold in October. So that's how I reached here frozen, and I learned how the frozen climate can turn into really amazing in Barcelona and give you a great vibe in your life. Most of I would definitely not consider this as an epical book, though the name says Epics of Hope. But most of the emotions or epics in the world they begin from something called romance. I have seen that this is my experience. And I don't know a single author in my life who has never written about romance. One of the stories this is a collection of 4 stories, like I said. And one of the story is a romance, which actually started from a heartbreak. Though it was not a real story. None of these stories are actual life stories. They are fictions, but fictions cannot happen without life experiences. So the first story of this is actually the second story in the book, which is She's a Poem, which started from an emotional breakdown, and then it connects to the last story. And so it was a whole journey. It started from an emotional breakdown. Then the attitude and the eagerness of a person to learn more. There are a few things which I learned after coming to Europe, especially about how people in this part of the world look at big events like Holodomor. I mean, I haven't seen Holodomor mentioned at many places. So I wanted to use Holodomor as one of the key points in the book, and wanted to bring this in the front of society for a verdict, for a decision, for a discussion, to make sure that we see things on its merit and we understand things on merit without blindly going ahead and supporting or dedicating ourselves to specific areas of politics or religion as matter, right? So the book actually triggered from a romantic breakdown. That was the trigger, but the book travels to multiple areas. It's also speak about the cultural clatter we have in Spain, especially in terms of how a person from India, how we perceive the Catalan or the Spanish culture as a whole when it comes to the emotional baggage what we carry from India, and what the kind of openness and the conservativeness we carry from India towards an open-hearted society in Barcelona. All these things are inspired through this journey of 2.5 years in Barcelona, where I wouldn't say I have met more nationalities in my life ever before as such. This place is true cosmopolitan.
Absolutely, there is no doubt. Barcelona is a country in itself. So I'm super excited for what you're doing and how you're able to express your thoughts and ideas through books. And you also mentioned that you're not an author yet, but you're an author. You already wrote a book and you published it. So you're an author. And yeah, most artists do not agree to the fact that they are artists because they are. There is a quote also that says, "An art is never complete, and artists never agree themselves as artists," which is true when you say that because we are beings of expressions. We express ourselves through words and author, through painting, a paintist or an artist, real artist. So yeah, I can understand when you say that you're not an author yet, but I'm pretty sure that you're going to write more amazing books. I'm looking forward to that. Beautiful. My next question is about the cultural differences. You come from, South India, Indian
Mhm.
place, which in itself is called the God's own country, which is like full of culture and so many festivals, food, amazing food. What cultural differences between India and Spain that have impacted you the most?
Well, I really have to ask the first question back. I always ask this myself. When you say it's God's own country, I ask this question through my book as well. Yeah? So when you say God's own country, is that the country of gods, or is that a country built by gods? So I want to see it as the first one, a country built by gods. I mean, by the God to like a beautiful place. But do we actually living up to that expectation as a society? I won't say that I will not agree to it 100%. Though I say that okay, it's one of the greatest places in the earth to live. That's true. But at the same time, I won't just say that okay, this is this is this is the best. No, we always have an option for improvement. So always ask this question. It's not the country of gods. It's a god. It should be the god's own place. Yeah. But some people, unfortunately, in the current political situation in India, some people feel that it's a place where gods live. Yeah. So, coming back to it. So that comes with a cultural baggage. Being one of the states with the greatest human development indexes in the entire country, and a great literacy and a lot of things which we can offer, and a great culture. Coming from there to Barcelona and looking at the culture here, which actually made me feel how low as an animal I was when I lived there, thinking that there is something nothing better than this. Yeah. I love my place. I love my country. I love India. I love Kerala for that matter. I love the entire world. But when we say all these things, it should come from an emotion which truly touches upon a fact that I made a realization that I was living a low life in in Kerala or India, which needs improvement. That's a single line I would say if you ask me what I have learned from Barcelona. Yeah. This place will teach you how open-minded you can be in the society. The easiest thing we can point it out is how the non-binary genders are treated in our part of the world. In India as such, I'm not typically taking Kerala here. I want to take the entire country. In India, and how they are treated here. This is the basics of basic realization where which we need to understand, which points out towards one small thing, that is how open-minded we need to be. If you are looking at any other specific areas, I would say it could also be the amount of civic sense we need to develop. Culturally, we are really rich, but we have a problem. That is because of the way we achieved our independence. Yeah. All our cultures, if you look back, the cultures go back really rooted and amazing for uh, a good long time. And we were one of those countries who didn't have a patriarchy for uh, until you see 1,000 years or 1,500 years back. But how this patriarchy came into a prominent position in our country, and how later this was political socio-cultural environment was utilized by the Westerners, the Britishers, or the Dutch, or the Portuguese, or French, who were trying to colonize us at different increments. And the longest one who stayed, what message they said, which always pushed us to a level at some point when we are struggling for our freedom, we wanted to say no to everything. We wanted to fight against every small rule which was dictated by the Britishers or the French colonies or the Dutch colonies. We started going against the rule. And this, I think this is the primary motto where we started thinking that rejecting something which is proposed by the government or which is considered as pro by others is good. And I think all our entire civic sense lies on this. These are some of the differences which I see between Barcelona, not just Barcelona, with my travel experiences across the globe. I've traveled to around 16 countries now. And with my experiences across the globe, this is what I see primarily the difference. And if we overcome the problem with this, the conservativeness of our society, the culture what we deliver to the world is going to touch the Everest.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful summary. I really was so keen because the context that you said, the whole answer, the response was something very deep and it has a lot of meaning. Thank you so much for wonderful insights. And it makes me think a lot. You've traveled almost 16 countries. Wow. That's a
Tomorrow,
lot. I'm really amazed that you've traveled a lot, and I think travel is the best way to learn about life. You've said you have never got graduated or you haven't studied proper bachelor's or anything, but you've traveled 16 countries, so that's well enough. You already wrote a book. You will write more, I'm pretty sure.
oh,
I'm
yeah,
gonna wrap up.
let me clarify myself there. I said I never had a college education, but
Mhm.
education has never left me. It's something like even if I wanted to leave education, education never wanted to leave me.
Yeah,
So uh, while I was in Indian Navy, I did my graduation in English literature from in distance through the distance college. But and then my master's in public management again from a distance college. But the point is the experiences what a university education can give you. That is something which I missed the most in my life. And I think everybody needs to go through this to understand it's not necessary that everybody would generate the same kind of emotional intelligence without the exposure and education. So probably it took me longer because since I didn't have this proper streamlined education system, I had to learn this through this travel, which we just spoke of.
absolutely, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Right. Let's conclude the show with a final wrap-up question. Since you've traveled across different countries, you know different cultures, What was one of the biggest challenge that you had to face to adapt your life in Spain, and what advice would you give to somebody who is moving to Spain?
To adapt, the first thing is when you leave a country to any country, let it be Middle East or Spain or any European countries or United States, the first thing we have to learn is don't bring your baggage with you. Yeah, you are going to a society. I respect and I totally understand the heritage we hold, the tradition we hold, the culture we have, the way we always argue about how old our Indus Valley civilization or the Lemurian civilizations or the entire culture of India, how old it is and how old it is, as old as the Mesopotamian civilization or the Greek or the Romans. But when we talk all these things, what we have to understand is that's what we are and that's where we come from. Now we go to a different place, the place where we are gonna be. We should learn how to assimilate in the society. This assimilation is missing, especially within Indians. I can quote examples. You said you are from Tamil Nadu. You would see most of your Tamil friends hanging out with your Tamil guys in Barcelona, or not just Barcelona. Let's go to Paris. You have a huge street where there are full of Tamil restaurants. Yeah, and they all stay together, live together. It's not bad. It's not bad. So you see this among the Chinese community as well here. You see this among a lot of communities here. But at the same time, we have to assimilate to the society here, learn their culture, and most importantly, respect the culture of the place we are going to. That is the most important. So I know you have a lot of things back home. We have the way we celebrate our Christmas or Eid ul Fitr or Navaratri or Onam or Ugadi or whatever you call it. We have a lot of things we celebrate in India. We celebrate it in our own ways. When we bring it here, we have to make sure that it goes with the norms, the norms of the culture, the norms set by the culture in this society where we are going to live. Because without respecting their culture, what we are going to get is we are going to get the pushback. And we have already seen this in many parts of the world where we see a lot of pushbacks. And I'm not afraid to say that there is an organized hate rage on social media against Indians. And this is the rage or the hate crimes against Indians. This is not now it has gone beyond the social media and it has gone to real time examples which are now we are often seeing issues in Ireland, but that doesn't mean that the entire Irish population is bad. Sometimes we also forget that we come from a different culture, but we need to respect the culture and the society where we are going to be. How do we do it? We adapt their culture. We respect their culture. I have used the word respect 1,000 times, but I still will continue using it because this assimilation would not happen unless we are not ready to adapt or respect the culture where we are going to live. And then we give back to the society. We give back to the society. The society will respect us. Rather, not ever try to change the society for our will. We don't need to conduct a fest. We don't need to conduct, let's say, for example, a Pongal or Ugadi or Navaratri fest here without considering their cultural aspect. If you need to conduct, I'm sure that as I understand, the especially the people of Barcelona, I'm sure that if we conduct such a festival or something, the people would assimilate with us and they would be happy to participate and contribute in this. But respect their culture and their norms while we do this.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I think from what you said, I would take three key words, which is ARG: assimilate, respect, and give back. This is the summary of what I understood, and it's a very, very important fact to be able to live in a new country. You're moving from a new, you're moving to a new way of life. So adapt, assimilate, and respect and give back to their own community. There is no other way to sum it up than what you've explained. And as an author, you see everything in a philosophical way, and I really appreciate that. And I really love the way you see the world through an emotional viewpoint. That is amazing because when we see life with that vantage point, you understand, you put yourself in their situation, you see how they would see us, how the the, the native people would react to this if we do that. That is very important. It can be even just walking on the street. You cannot walk with your own clothes that you come from. I've seen people walking with their home country's, traditional uh, attire just on a normal day. If it's happening in my country, if it's for a day, it's okay, but I would not appreciate if it's happening on all the time. And that is something that what you mentioned is true, that we should assimilate. We should respect their own culture. We cannot just bring our own baggage and throw it here. So that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Thank you, Sri. I really had a lot of very interesting conversations with you. I hope the viewers also enjoy, and I hope you get more viewers through the conversations we had. I'm also going to tag your book. I hope you get people reading your books more than just watching you to get more about your ideas and thoughts. Thank you so much once again for your time and patience.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for having this discussion with me. And these kind of discussions actually help us open up and speak a lot. And thank you for a very streamlined and organized one. And I know it happened at the neck of the time. Thank you for organizing.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Krizcast Nomen Life. Welcome to Krizcast Nomen Life.